Your Excellencies, members of Council of Ministers of the African Petroleum Producing Country Organization, dear members, observers of APO, Your Excellency, the Secretary General of APO, dear members of the Executive Board of APO, dear chairmen of national and international oil and gas companies, dear members of the Angolan Executive, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomat Corps in Angola, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, it was with great enthusiasm and interest that I received the invitation in order to preside over the opening ceremony of the 8th African Petroleum Congress and Exhibition, because I deem of great importance the discussion of the problem related to oil and gas in Africa, inasmuch as despite the ongoing efforts for decarbonization of the economies, these energy resources will continue to play a great role in the global economy and African economy over the next decades. Allow me first and foremost to welcome all the political personalities and the representatives of national and international companies who grace us with their presence, who will enrich the deliberation of the themes proposed for discussion. The theme for the 8th African Petroleum Congress and Exhibition, energy transition, challenges and opportunities in the African oil industry, shows once again the strong interest of the leaders of the African countries producing oil to deliberate on challenges and opportunities for energy transition and the future of the oil and gas sector in Africa, given the COP21 and COP26. I would like to welcome the decision by the Council of Ministers of APO to hold the 8th African Petroleum Congress and Exhibition, COP8 in Luanda, preceded by an extraordinary session of the Council of Ministers, as well as the first meeting of the APO long-term strategy subcommittee and that of the CEOs of the oil companies of the African oil producing countries. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Republic of Angola started in 2018 a number of reforms in the oil sector in order to improve its governance, transparency, and eliminate any kind of conflict of interest. These reforms have culminated with the establishment of the National Agency of Oil, Gas, and Biofuels, ANPG, which is the national concessionary, and as well as the institutionalization of the National Institute of Oil Byproduct as a regulating body of mid and downstream, as well as the restructuring of Sonangol EP as for its repositioning in the chain of oil and natural gas. As from 2016, that the oil production in Angola has been declining sharply for various reasons, especially due to the lack of investment in exploration. Thus, in order to reverse the decreasing trend, the Angolan government has promoted initiative for the relaunch of oil exploration activities, improvement of operational efficiency, and optimization of cost, as well as the increase of local content, with a view to become not only exporter of crude oil, but also of oil byproducts. The government has set as its main priority the building of Cabinda and Soyo refinery and refurbishment or revamping of Luanda refinery, all these projects which are ongoing, and the biggest project of Lobito refinery that will start as soon as possible, ensuring in total the refining of about 400,000 barrels of oil per day. At the same token, the government has decided to increase the capacity of storage of fuels and lubricants, as well as increase the network of fuel stations, counting on private initiative in order to achieve that goal. On the other hand, the Angolan government has made a decision to join the international uh, International Transparency Initiative on Extractive Industry, whereby it has as a goal as promotion of good governance and increase transparency in management of oil revenues in general, and in particular those from oil. Taking into account climate changes and the growing environmental concern, as well as the need for energy transition for low carbon economy, the government of Angola has been working in order to promote sustainable exploration of fossil energy sources and equally creating opportunities for development and the use of renewable sources of energy such as solar, wind, biomass, and hydrogen, and some activities and projects concrete in this regard are already ongoing. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I have been following attentively and with interest the evolution of Apple that has evolved from the African Association of Oil Producing Countries to an organization emphasizing, therefore, the organic structure of the members. The mission and vision of the organization were profoundly changed in order to prepare it for the upcoming challenges resulting from the global paradigm change in fossil fuels to renewable energies, which is called as energy transition. The study on the future of the oil and gas industry in Africa in light of energy transition reveals the existence of an organization that is able to lead the transformation in the African oil industry face to the tremendous pressure of international actors in order to abandon quickly the fossil fuels. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the study conducted by our organization illustrates the main challenges that the African oil-producing countries may face in order to continue benefiting of their natural resources in the years of global energy transition. I'm talking about the possibility of about 125 billion barrels and more than 500 billion cubic feet of natural gas to be left unexplored if we're not united and be able to defend our interests as a continent. For many decades, the project of the African oil industry in its three development phases were funded by exclusively foreign investment. This situation can be changed as a result of the paradigm change in the fossil fuels to renewable energies. If institutions on which we rely much for many years decide to finish investment in the main source of revenues for our countries, we have to find together a solution, a domestic solution that allows us to leverage our energy resources with reform and restructuring of the upper fund for international cooperation, well as the work that's being developed with Afri-Exim Bank for the establishment of an African Energy Bank. Historically, African oil and gas have been explored and produced mainly in order to attend to the external demand in the developed countries of America, Europe, and running the risk of being left without market in the near future. Our reality shows that a meaningful part of people in the African continent do not have access to electricity or to any other kind of modern energy for the domestic use, therefore creating the need of creating an African market that is able to absorb a great stake of oil and gas that Africa produces. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at medium and long run, fossil fuels are doomed to be banned definitely as a measure to protect the environment and consequently our planet. All of us are obliged to adhere to the initiative of energy transition in order to save the Earth planet, our common home. Nevertheless, we defend that this transition should be a responsible and gradual process that protects the planet without bringing more hunger and misery to the people of those countries that rely on oil and gas exploration as the main source of revenues. As the energy transition is taking place, our countries have to expedite the diversification of their economies and leverage as much as possible the oil revenues for the industrialization of the continent. We all know that it's not easy because we have short time, but we don't have another choice if not to get abreast that as it is necessary, it has to be possible. I'm pleased to know that the first summit of head of state of Apple has been planned, and the government of Angola supports this initiative. And as much as the challenges that Africa faces today in this domain have to be dealt with at the highest political level. Therefore, I would like to urge the ministers and CEOs of national and international oil gas and all stakeholders in oil and gas sector in Apple member states and observers to commit to face the challenges of the industry in the continent. With these few words, I therefore declare open the 8th edition of the African Petroleum Congress and Exhibition. Thank you very much for your attention.